I've never posted on Reddit before, but I don't think I can keep this to myself anymore. This happened 2 years ago when I was 26. I had just moved into a small rental house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It wasn't fancy, just a one-bedroom place with a tiny backyard and a basement I barely used. The landlord was an older guy who owned a few properties in the area. The rent was cheap, which should have been my first red flag. The first week was normal. Then I started noticing small things. Cabinet doors slightly open when I was sure I closed them. The shower curtain moved slightly when there was no airflow. Food disappearing, just small amounts. At first, I blamed myself. Stress. Moving. Forgetfulness. But then one night I heard it. Scratching. It was coming from the hallway wall near the floor. Not inside the wall. Under it. My house had a crawl space instead of a full basement. You could access it through a small wooden panel in the laundry room. I'd never opened it. The scratching continued for maybe 10 seconds, then stopped. I convinced myself it was a rat. The next morning, I bought traps. That night, around 3 a.m., I woke up to a sound I'll never forget. A cough. A human cough. Muted. Like someone trying not to be heard. It came from beneath the floor. I sat up in bed completely frozen. Silence. Then, a slow dragging sound. Directly under me. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After about a minute, it stopped. The next day I called the landlord and told him I thought there were animals under the house. He said he'd look into it. He never came. 3 nights later, it happened again. Scratching. Then whispering. Actual whispering. I couldn't make out words, but it was definitely a voice. I grabbed a flashlight and walked to the laundry room. The crawl space panel was slightly open. I was 100% sure I had never opened it. The wood looked splintered around the edges, like it had been pushed from inside. I stared at it for a long time. Then I slowly pulled it open. The smell hit me first. Sweat. Rot. Stale air. I shined the flashlight inside. It was dirt. Pipes. Insulation. And something else. A sleeping bag. Folded. And empty. My heart started pounding so hard I thought I was going to pass out. Someone had been living under my house. I backed away slowly and closed the panel. I didn't call the police. I don't know why. I think I was in shock. Instead, I left. I grabbed my keys and drove to my friend's apartment. The next day, I came back with him. The crawl space panel was closed. But the sleeping bag was gone. Gone. There were fresh footprints in the dirt, leading toward the far end of the crawl space where there was a small vent opening to the backyard. Big enough for someone thin to squeeze through. I moved out that week. A month later, I found out from a neighbor that the previous tenant had complained about noises under the floor too. The landlord never reported anything. I still wonder how long he was there. And if he was still under the house while I was sleeping. I never believed in paranoia. Until the day I realized someone had been inside our apartment while we were sleeping. This happened last year. I'm 29. My girlfriend, Emily, was 27 at the time. We had just moved into a third-floor apartment in an older building near downtown. Nothing fancy, but it felt safe. The kind of place where neighbors smile at you in the hallway. The first weird thing wasn't even that weird. Emily started feeling like someone was watching her. She works from home, so she'd be alone most days. Around the second week of living there, she told me she felt off. Like there was a presence in the apartment. I laughed it off. New place. Old building noises. But then she started noticing things. The bathroom door would be slightly open after she closed it. Our bedroom window would be unlocked when she was sure she locked it. Her jewelry box moved from the dresser to inside a drawer. Nothing major. Just wrong. One afternoon she texted me, "Did you come home during lunch?" I hadn't. She said she heard slow footsteps in the hallway outside our bedroom. Heavy. Like someone pacing. She assumed it was a neighbor until she heard the sound of our front door clicking shut. From inside. When she checked, the door was locked. Deadbolt engaged. Chain on. That's when I stopped dismissing it. We bought a small security camera and placed it in the living room facing the front door. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then on the 4th night, at exactly 2:47 a.m., Emily shook me awake. "Did you hear that?" At first, I didn't. Then I did. A soft metallic sound. Like keys brushing lightly against something. It came from the kitchen. I grabbed a knife and slowly walked out. The kitchen was empty. Front door locked. Windows shut. No sign of entry. The next morning, we checked the footage. Nothing. Until 2:46 a.m. The camera flickered for 1 second. Just one. Then it resumed normally. At 2:47, when we heard the sound, nothing visible happened. But when I zoomed in, I noticed something subtle. The chain lock on the door was slightly swinging. Very slightly. Like it had just been touched. But no one was visible. We blamed a glitch. Emily didn't. She stopped staying home alone. She'd call me randomly during the day because she thought she heard breathing. Not outside. Inside. Behind her. One evening, she was folding laundry in the bedroom when she froze. She later told me she felt warm air brush against the back of her neck. Like someone exhaled. When she turned around, no one was there. That's when I decided to check every inch of that apartment. Closets. Under the bed. Behind the couch. Kitchen cabinets. Nothing. Until the night I came home early from work. It was around 6 p.m. I didn't tell her I was leaving early. I wanted to surprise her. When I unlocked the front door, I immediately heard whispering. From the bedroom. A male voice. Low. Calm. I froze in the hallway. Then I heard Emily's voice. She sounded confused. "Who are you?" My blood ran cold. I ran down the hallway and kicked the bedroom door open. Emily was standing near the dresser. Alone. There was no one else in the room. "Where is he?" I shouted. "Who?" she asked. "The guy you were talking to." Her face went pale. "I wasn't talking to anyone." Then she whispered. "I thought that was you." We both just stared at each other. Because I had clearly heard a man's voice. And she had clearly heard someone speaking to her. But we were both alone. Or at least, that's what we thought. That night, I decided to check the attic crawl space. Our apartment had one of those small square ceiling panels in the hallway. I had ignored it until then. I grabbed a ladder and pushed the panel up. The smell hit me first. Sweat. Dust. And something rotten. I shined my flashlight inside. At first, I saw insulation. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. A blanket. Up there. A dirty pillow. Empty water bottles. And cigarette butts. Someone had been living above us. Watching us. Listening. The space wasn't big, but it was big enough for someone to lie flat and move carefully. I felt my chest tighten. Then I saw something else. A small drilled hole. Right above our bedroom. Pointing directly at the bed. I climbed down immediately and called the police. They searched the crawl space. The officer told us something that still makes me sick. There were recent food wrappers. Fresh ones. Meaning whoever had been up there had left very recently. Possibly while we were home. Possibly while we were sleeping. They never caught him. But that's not the worst part. The worst part happened 2 nights later, after we were staying at a hotel. I got a notification on my phone. From the security camera. Motion detected. In the apartment. We had already moved out most of our stuff. No one was supposed to be there. I opened the live feed. The front door was closed. Living room empty. Then, slowly, the attic panel in the hallway creaked open. And a hand came down. A slow, pale hand. Then a face. Thin. Unshaven. Smiling. He dropped to the floor like he'd done it 100 times. Then he walked directly toward the camera. And leaned in close. So close I could see his eyes clearly. And he whispered, "She's safe with you now." Then the screen went black. He had unplugged it. We never went back. Police never found him. But sometimes, late at night, Emily still wakes up and says she feels someone watching her. And I always check the ceiling first. Because now I know something I wish I didn't. Sometimes the monster isn't outside your door. Sometimes he's already inside your home. If you've ever ignored a bad feeling because you didn't want to seem paranoid, this story might hit you hard. This happened in 2021 when I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Ohio with my roommate, Daniel. We'd met on Facebook Marketplace while looking for someone to split rent. He seemed normal. Quiet. Clean. Worked part-time at a warehouse. Nothing about him stood out. Until he lost his job. For about 2 weeks, Daniel barely left the apartment. He'd stay in his room with the door closed, lights off most of the time. I'd hear him pacing at night. Not constant pacing, just bursts. Like someone walking in tight circles for a few minutes, then stopping. I didn't think much of it. Losing a job sucks. Then one evening he came home weirdly excited. He told me he found a gig on Craigslist. Cash job. No paperwork. Just helping a guy move equipment on weekends. I joked, "Sounds sketchy." He smiled. Not a normal smile. He said, "Yeah. That's kind of the point." I remember that sentence because it didn't fit the tone. He said it like he'd just joined a secret club. The first weekend he did the job, he came home at 3:30 a.m. His clothes were dirty. Not dusty dirty. Wet dirty. Like he'd been outside in rain or mud. I asked where he'd been. He said, storage units. That was it. No details. The second weekend, same thing. Came home late. Wet shoes. Mud around the soles. But here's what bothered me. Our state hadn't had rain in days. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to the sound of our front door opening slowly. Daniel was supposed to be gone all weekend. He told me the job sometimes required overnight work. I stayed still in bed. I heard him walk into the kitchen. Then, the sink turned on. Not full blast. Just a steady stream. It ran for a long time. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15. Then cabinets opened. I got up quietly and cracked my bedroom door. The kitchen light was on. Daniel was standing at the sink. Washing something. His sleeves were rolled up. The water in the sink looked darker than normal. I couldn't tell why from the hallway. He wasn't scrubbing dishes. He was scrubbing his hands. Over and over. Like he couldn't get something off. He kept muttering, "It's fine. It's fine. It's fine." Then he suddenly looked up. Not at me. At the reflection in the microwave. And for a split second I thought he'd seen me. I shut my door and locked it. I don't know why I locked it. But that was the first night I felt genuinely unsafe. The next morning, I checked the kitchen. No blood. No stains. But there was a strong smell of bleach. Daniel acted normal. Too normal. He even asked if I wanted to grab lunch. I declined. That's when things escalated. 2 days later, I got a knock on the door around 6 p.m. 2 police officers. They asked if Daniel was home. I said no. They asked how long he'd lived there. They asked if he had a car. They asked if I knew where he worked. I told them about the Craigslist job. One of the officers exchanged a look with the other. That look said everything. Before leaving, they asked if Daniel had been acting strange. I hesitated. Then I lied. I said no. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't want drama. Maybe I didn't want to believe something was wrong. That night Daniel didn't come home. Or the next. Or the next. On the 4th day, his phone started ringing non-stop on the kitchen counter. He'd left it behind. Unknown numbers. Over and over. Then a voicemail notification popped up. I know I shouldn't have. But I listened. It was a male voice. Calm. Controlled. He said, "You need to stop disappearing. We had an agreement. You don't get to panic now. Call me back." My stomach dropped. I checked Daniel's room. His closet was half empty. But his bed was unmade. Like he'd left in a rush. There was mud on the floor. Dried mud. I grabbed a trash bag and started cleaning it up, mostly because I was freaking out and needed something to do. Under the bed, I found a small notebook. Inside were dates, coordinates, and one phrase written multiple times. Storage 17. That same night, the police came back. This time they had a warrant. They searched Daniel's room. They bagged the notebook. They took his laptop. They asked if he ever mentioned storage units. I told them yes. That's when one officer said something I'll never forget. We found something at a storage facility outside town. Unit 17. He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. 2 weeks later, I saw the news article. A man had been arrested in connection with an illegal underground gambling ring that operated out of abandoned storage units. But that wasn't the disturbing part. They were also investigating possible kidnapping and assault connected to the same locations. Daniel's name wasn't listed as arrested. He wasn't listed at all. He had vanished. The main suspect? A guy who rented multiple storage units under fake names. The same guy who likely left that voicemail. Months passed. I moved out. New apartment. New roommate. I tried to forget it. Then one night, around midnight, I got a text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "Did you tell?" My chest felt hollow. I didn't respond. Then another message. "You shouldn't have opened my room." I never told anyone I'd searched his room. Not the police. Not friends. No one. The typing bubble appeared. Then disappeared. Then one final message. "I'm fixing it." I blocked the number. Changed mine the next day. Nothing happened after that. No break-ins. No sightings. No updates. But here's what keeps me awake. About 6 months later, I checked the news again. The storage unit case quietly closed. Insufficient evidence. One missing person still unaccounted for. No further suspects. And Daniel? Never found. No arrest. No body. No official statement. Just gone. Sometimes I think about that night in the kitchen. The sink. The dark water. The way he kept scrubbing his hands. Like he was trying to erase something. Or someone. And sometimes when I wake up at night, I swear I hear pacing. Short bursts. Just like before. I live alone now. So it can't be a roommate. Right? If you ignore one red flag in life, your brain will help you justify the second. But by the third one, it might already be too late.